God's chosen ones, this final test is non-negotiable. Pass it, or nothing will move forward. You might not have expected to see this message today, but know that it is no accident. You are here for a reason, guided by divine purpose to a moment that will change everything. Right now, as you read these words, feel the stirring in your heart. The whisper of destiny calling you to step into a reality where every trial is a divine setup designed to mold you into who you are meant to be. If this message resonates in your spirit, then right now, comment 777 below as your declaration of readiness and trust in God's perfect plan. Have you ever wondered if the challenges you face are really obstacles meant to hold you back? Or are they, in fact, the very refining fire that prepares you for something greater? Think about it. Every setback, every test of your faith, is part of a sacred process that transforms mere trials into stepping stones toward your destiny. Isn't it remarkable that in the midst of your struggles, God is quietly positioning you for eternal glory? When you feel like surrendering, when every fiber of your being begs you to quit, ask yourself, can you cling to God's promises with unwavering trust, knowing that your light and momentary troubles are achieving for you an eternal glory that far outweighs them all? This final test is not about how strong or clever you are. It's about the condition of your heart, the depth of your faith, and your willingness to endure when life seems unbearably heavy. How many times have you found yourself asking, why me, in the midst of trials? Could it be that these moments of hardship are not meant to crush you, but to refine you? Imagine that each tear, every painful moment, is a deliberate part of God's plan to prepare you for the blessings and breakthroughs that lie just around the corner. Think of Joseph, whose journey from a dreamer to a leader was paved with betrayal, slavery, and false accusations. His life spiraled into hardship only to be redirected by God into a destiny of influence and purpose. Don't you see that your own struggles might be positioning you for a purpose beyond what you can currently comprehend? Consider the story of Moses, who spent years wandering in the wilderness tending sheep before he was called to lead an entire nation to freedom. Could that long, seemingly stagnant season in the wilderness have been the very time God used to shape his character, instill in him humility and patience, and forge a deep reliance on his presence? When Moses questioned whether he was ready, God assured him, I will be with you even in seasons of waiting and obscurity. Isn't it possible that your own season of waiting is exactly what God needs to equip you for the monumental tasks ahead? Now, let us go deeper into the heart of this divine challenge. This test is not a measure of worldly success or intelligence, but a measure of your heart and your faith. When every circumstance around you tempts you to let go, will you stand firm? When you feel overwhelmed by the weight of your burdens, ask yourself, is this not the crucible in which God refines you? Every chosen one, every great man or woman of divine purpose, faced a similar test. They did not simply pass through life unchallenged. They were pushed, refined, and molded by God's own hand. Have you ever marveled at how, in the midst of trials, something inside you begins to change? A quiet strength emerges that you didn't know existed? This isn't just a fleeting feeling. It is the work of God transforming you from the inside out. When you look back on every trial after you passed through it, won't you see that each one was a critical step in your journey toward becoming the person God intended you to be? Isn't it incredible to think that your current challenges could be the very keys to unlocking a destiny filled with purpose and fulfillment? Reflect on the words from 2 Corinthians, where Paul reminds us that our light, momentary troubles are producing for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Can you feel the assurance in that promise? Even when everything around you seems to crumble, there's an eternal purpose that is being built through your perseverance. What if the final test you're facing today is exactly what God has designed to elevate you to heights you've never before imagined? Are you ready to trust that every moment of struggle is a divine opportunity for growth? Let us take a moment to examine the lives of those who came before you as shining examples of divine preparation. Joseph, whose dreams foretold greatness, experienced unimaginable hardship, being thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. Yet, every betrayal and trial was a necessary part of a grand design. In his story, we hear the powerful declaration, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Doesn't this compel you to see that your setbacks are not random acts of cruelty, but meticulously orchestrated moments intended to steer you toward destiny? Similarly, consider Jesus, the ultimate chosen one, who after his baptism was led into the wilderness for 40 days. His time of testing was not a punishment, but a period of affirmation. In that wilderness, under the weight of temptation and isolation, he emerged with a clear mission that transformed the world. Like Jesus, the trials you face can serve as the crucible that refines your purpose and sets your heart ablaze with divine passion. Can you imagine that your own wilderness might be the very training ground for your destiny? A place where all that is not from God is burned away, leaving you purified and empowered? Now, as you absorb these truths, I want you to ask yourself, what is it that you are truly being prepared for? Are you ready to look beyond the immediate pain and see that each trial is a stepping stone to something far greater? Can you trust that God's plan for you is so much bigger than any challenge you face right now? Isn't it time to stop doubting and begin to see every trial as an opportunity, a divine invitation to grow stronger, wiser, and more deeply connected to the purpose that only you can fulfill? This test before you is non-negotiable. There is no shortcut around it. It is a divine mandate that you must pass if you are to move forward into the blessings that God has prepared. Imagine the consequences if you were to shy away from this challenge. You would remain stuck, wandering in a cycle of repetition, never breaking free from the chains of doubt and fear. But if you embrace this test with all your heart, if you lean into the refining process, then nothing, absolutely nothing, will be able to stop you from moving forward. Can you see that your breakthrough begins with your belief and your willingness to endure? Have you ever noticed that the most significant changes in life often come right after the most difficult trials? Just as a seed must break through its shell to sprout into a beautiful flower, so too must you break free from the confines of your current struggles to blossom into the person you are meant to be. Does this truth inspire you to face your challenges head on, knowing that on the other side lies a destiny filled with hope, abundance, and divine purpose? Consider, for example, the biblical narrative of Moses. For years, he remained in the wilderness, seemingly adrift, yet that very period was essential in shaping him into the leader of the Israelites. It was during that time of apparent stagnation that God was at work, preparing Moses through lessons of humility, patience, and reliance on divine guidance. Do you see a parallel in your own life? Could it be that the period you might regard as a season of waiting or stasis is, in fact, a sacred interval where God is equipping you for the next phase of your journey? And what about Joseph? His journey was filled with betrayal, hardship, and moments that could have easily crushed his spirit. Yet, through it all, he clung to his faith, and God used every moment to prepare him for his destiny. His testimony is clear. Every setback was a setup for something far beyond his imagining. Reflect on your own experiences. Have you noticed how the moments when you felt most broken were the very moments that set the stage for your greatest breakthroughs? Now, I urge you to consider this. When the pressure mounts and the pain feels unbearable, will you choose to trust in God's process? Will you allow the refining fire to purify you so that only the best remains? Ask yourself, what impurity is God burning away in your life right now to make room for the extraordinary blessings He has planned? This test is not about punishment. It is about preparation. It is God's way of ensuring that when the time comes for your blessing to arrive, you're not only ready to receive it, but also strong enough to carry it with grace and strength. This is your moment, your turning point. It is the final test that determines whether you will step boldly into your destiny or remain trapped in a cycle of doubt and delay. Can you imagine the possibilities on the other side of this challenge? Think of the doors that will open, the dreams that will no longer seem out of reach, and the legacy that you will leave behind. The promised land is waiting for you, but it demands that you endure, that you persevere, and that you trust in God's perfect timing. Are you prepared to rise to the challenge with unwavering determination? You are not alone in this journey. The same God who guided Moses through the wilderness, who sanctified Joseph through his trials, and who empowered Jesus in his time of testing walks beside you now. His promise is clear in Isaiah. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Can you feel that promise resonating in your soul? Picture yourself soaring above every challenge, running with a renewed vigor, and walking through the fire without being consumed. Isn't that the assurance you need to push forward, no matter the difficulties you face? I want you to remember that every challenge you encounter is an opportunity for transformation. The test you are facing is not an end in itself. It is the beginning of a new chapter, a period where every moment of struggle is meticulously orchestrated to shape you into the person God has called you to be. It's a process that might feel painful and overwhelming at times, yet it is the very mechanism through which your character is refined, your faith is deepened, and your destiny is prepared. Have you ever seen a potter at work, skillfully molding clay until it forms a masterpiece? That is exactly what God is doing with your life right now. At this very moment, as you digest these words, ask yourself, are you willing to embrace this sacred process? Will you let go of the fear, the doubt, and the resistance, and instead lean fully into the fire of transformation? Your willingness to endure and your commitment to trust in God's plan will not only redefine your future, but will also set a powerful example for others who may be struggling in their own journeys. Do you feel the call to be a beacon of hope, a living testament to the truth that every trial can lead to a breakthrough if you only persist? Now, I urge you to take action. Right now, let your voice be heard. Comment 777 below as a bold declaration of your readiness and trust in God's plan. Let that number be the signal that you are standing at the threshold of a revolutionary change, that you are prepared to face every challenge head on, and that you believe without a shadow of a doubt that God's purpose for you is far greater than any obstacle in your path. This act of faith is more than just a comment. It is a public proclamation that you are ready to break through, to rise above, and to step fully into the destiny that has been prepared for you. As you do this, reflect on the truth that every moment of hardship you have experienced is working together to produce an eternal glory that far outweighs your present struggles. Think of the biblical promises that have been given to those who trust in God. Promises of renewed strength, unyielding endurance, and a future filled with hope and abundance. The fire that refines you is temporary, but the transformation it brings is eternal. Can you see that the testing you endure today is shaping you for a life of victory? A life in which you will carry the weight of God's blessings with strength and grace. Take a deep breath and let these words sink deep into your heart. You are being prepared for something extraordinary. The challenges before you are not meant to defeat you, but rather to define you, to show you that even in the face of the most daunting trials, you can rise, you can overcome, and you can become the person God created you to be. Every struggle, every moment of pain is a step closer to the breakthrough that awaits. Isn't it time to embrace the process, to trust that God is working all things together for your good? Remember that the true measure of a person is not found in the absence of trials, but in the strength and resilience displayed when those trials come. Like Joseph, who turned betrayal into a blessing, or Moses, who emerged from the wilderness ready to lead. You too are being equipped to fulfill a divine purpose. Do you feel the stirring in your soul urging you to stand firm and to let the light of your faith shine so brightly that it dispels every shadow of doubt and deception? This is your season to claim the promise, to embrace the transformation, and to step boldly into the future that God has promised. The final test before you is non-negotiable, a sacred challenge that holds the key to your breakthrough and the fulfillment of your destiny. It is the very moment where all your hardships converge into a powerful revelation of who you are meant to be. The barriers that once seemed insurmountable will come crashing down if you let your faith remain unshaken. Ask yourself, will you allow the refining fire to purify you? Or will you let the weight of your struggles keep you in the same place? The choice is yours, and the time to choose is now. As you continue along this journey, remember that every setback, every tear, every moment of uncertainty is a deliberate part of the divine process. The test you face is not a punishment for your failures, but a necessary step toward the abundance and fulfillment that lies ahead. God is not simply preparing a blessing for you. He is preparing you to carry that blessing, to hold it with strength, humility, and an unbreakable faith that will inspire others. Can you imagine the impact you will have on the world when you rise as the fully transformed, glorified person God intended you to be? So, chosen one, stand up and face this test with courage and determination. Let your heart be filled with the truth that, with God by your side, nothing can stop you from moving forward. Trust in the process, knowing that every challenge is molding you into a vessel of His divine purpose. The journey may be tough, and the fire may be intense, but the promise of eternal glory and unshakable victory is within your grasp. Now is the time to act. Comment 777 below as your bold declaration that you are ready to face this final test with faith and perseverance. Let it be a statement that you trust in God's perfect plan and that you are prepared to break through every barrier that stands in your way. Your breakthrough begins with this simple yet powerful act of faith. Embrace this moment, step into the refining fire, and allow yourself to be transformed into the extraordinary person God has destined you to be. Your destiny awaits. Rise, endure, and let nothing stop you from fulfilling the divine plan set before you.